Hi, my name is Celine and my partner's name is Lam. And today we'll be talking about the challenges of college immigrants. So, for our table of contents, first we'll be talking about the purpose, the background, challenges, and then we had two studies, so both of our study findings. And we have a little video for you, some implications, and then we have an interactive game to enhance learning, as well as our conclusion. So, the purpose of this presentation is to identify the challenges that students who immigrated to the US for college face, as well as make recommendations to address this marginalization. Now, for some background, immigrants in college represent a diverse and growing population in the US. In the US education system. So, according to the National Immigration Forum, about 5.3 million students enrolled in US colleges and universities. These people are first or second generation immigrants, and about 28% of all college students in the US are either foreign born or at least have one immigrant parent. I know both me and my partner do. So, demographically, immigrant college students come from various backgrounds, the largest groups originating from Mexico, China, and India. Many of these students face unique challenges, including financial barriers, language difficulties, legal uncertainties, and cultural adjustments. Despite these struggles, these people contribute significantly to campus diversity and the workforce, often excelling in STEM and business fields. However, studies show that immigrant students are less likely to complete a degree than their US born peers. This is due to limited access to financial aid as well as support services. So, some challenges experienced for this group. Um, One would be lack of representation. So, a big thing would be a lack of role models and mentors from similar backgrounds, and this can hinder minority students' academic as well as professional development. Financial barriers are also an issue. Minority students face financial challenges, including higher levels of student debt, as well as limited access to scholarships or financial aid. Mental health stigma is also a huge thing. This has been a problem for me as well with my culture in the past. So there's a huge stigma around seeking mental health support within some minority cultures, leading to unaddressed mental health issues. Um, Discrimination and bias is another one. So experiences of racial or ethnic discrimination, both overt and subtle, can negatively impact students' mental health as well as their academic performance, which go hand in hand. And then lastly, cultural isolation. Um, so these are just a few of the challenges. Obviously, there's a multitude, but these are some of the biggest ones in my opinion. But many minority students may feel isolated or disconnected from the majority culture, and this leads to feelings of loneliness and alienation, which kind of go back to the mental health stigma. So when you're lonely and alienated, your mental health tends to get worse. And when you come from a culture that mental health is stigmatized, you don't really get the support that you need, leading to the world around you and your grades and things of that sort kind of falling apart. So, for study one, this study points out that using outdated terms to describe college students' diversity does not reflect today's reality. So the authors of the study argue for breaking down data into smaller groups to better understand the unique experiences of different subethnicities. They highlight the importance of factors like where students' parents came from and their education levels, especially for first-generation college students. The study emphasizes that understanding these differences can help create better support and programs for diverse students.
This second study is named The Effects of Familial Acculturative Stress and Hopelessness on Suicidal Ideation by Immigration Status Among College Students. The primary objective of this study is to examine the, oh sorry, the Interaction of familial acculturative stress and hopelessness on suicidal ideation among immigrants and non-immigrants. So you may be wondering, what is acculturative stress? It's stress resulting from adapting to a new cultural environment, something that college immigrants face on a daily basis. Participants completed measures of hopelessness, depressive symptoms, ethnic identity, and familial acculturative stress and suicidal ideation, and researchers measured this stress through using the social, attitudinal, familial, and environmental acculturative stress scale, also known as SAFE. While 28% of the study participants were immigrants, a key finding was that it was significantly higher among immigrant students compared to non-immigrating students. Familial acculturative stress was not only higher, but it was also together with hopelessness and influenced suicidal ideation differently among immigrants compared to non-immigrants. While this study relied solely on self-reported measures, it allowed universities to come up with ways to support immigrant college students, such as providing integrated mental health care models on campus and helping them combat helplessness and acculturative stress. Next, we'll be showing a video. This video is called The Nation of Immigrants, and it's by Sarahi Espinoza Salamanca, and I hope you enjoy.
First, I'd like to acknowledge that we are here today on a lonely land. And unless you're a Native American, we are all immigrants, some more recent than others. But at the end of the day, I believe that my parents came to this country 20 years ago with the same vision as your ancestors centuries ago. And that was to give their children and their generations to come a better and more prosperous life. In 1993, my family decided to migrate from Michoacan, Mexico, to the United States. And our trajectory wasn't the normal way. As you can see, we decided to cross the desert because that was the only way that we can cross at the time. I came to this country at a very young age, so not long after I got here, I started going to school. I'm the youngest of 11 children and the first one in my family to really have that opportunity to get an education from such a young age in this country, which gave me the benefit of learning the language and being accepted into the culture of America. When I got to high school, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I became president of my academy, vice president of student body, and editor of the yearbook, and keeping a 4.0 GPA because I knew from a very young age that my parents were not going to be able to afford to pay for my higher education. Therefore, I put it upon myself to try to get the best grades possible and be involved inside and out of school to try to get a full ride scholarship into college. Everything changed for me, though, my junior year of high school, when I had to apply for FAFSA. For those of you that don't know, FAFSA is the application that the majority of low-income students in this country apply for to get financial aid from the government. But as I was filling out this application, I came to a section that asked me for my social security number. Prior to this, I didn't really need the social security number. So I asked my mom, can you please give this to me because I need to fill this out in order to get financial aid from the government. This is the moment in my life where I realized that I'm not only an immigrant, but I'm an undocumented immigrant. And what this meant for me pursuing my higher education was about to shake my world. You see, despite the fact that I had amazing grades and I was involved inside and out of school, I graduated college with not having a pathway into higher education because I didn't find the resources necessary to help me pay for my higher education. And when this happened to me, I thought that I was the only person in the country going through the situation. But little did I know there's about 65,000 students a year going through the same thing, and nobody was doing anything about it. And if they were, it wasn't amplified enough to where I can find the resources that existed. Not until I left Los Angeles and moved to the Bay Area that I started going to school thanks to a counselor who told me that I could go to college despite my immigration status, that California gave me in-state tuition because I graduated from a high school in the state, and that there was something called AB 540, and there were scholarships for students like myself. They were just a lot harder to find. As soon as I found this information out, I wanted to share it with as many people as possible. So thanks to the help of my mentor, Jesse, I was able to start a blog where I started posting these scholarships up there so that other students like me can have that hope and have that vision that they could go to college and that it didn't have to end after high school. But this vision was small, and I had a greater vision. It was a local database. So in 2014, when the Voto Latino Innovators Challenge opened up, it was a national competition that opened up for anybody in the country who wanted to solve problems in their community using technology. So I decided to pitch my idea. Despite the fact that I didn't have a lot of technical background, I had the passion and vision to try to make this go national. My vision got me to winning first place in the country. I came home with $100,000. This funding allowed me to hire a technical team to actually help me build and code my platform. In 2016, my dream came true. Dreamers Roadmap went live on the App Store and on Google Play. And to this day, we've been able to help over 30,000 students have access to this information. This is Lily, one of the beneficiaries of our app. I met her last year and she shared her story with me. And stories like her and testimonies of thousands of other students is what keep me motivated. As y'all know, as a tech entrepreneur in the Silicon Valley, it's very easy to want to give up. And I've had that feeling. But when I see her story, it reminds me of myself. And when I see the end of her story, it reminds me why I can't give up and why I need to continue to fight every single day to continue to make stories like this happen. Not only for individuals like Lily, but for the sacrifice of our parents. Because at the end of the day, I feel that they come to this country to see us achieve this and see their children be successful. But dreamers, even before me, have been fighting for something more concrete. In 2001, a bill was introduced called the DREAM Act. This would basically mean that if you were an undocumented student and you figured out a way to get yourself through college, there would be a pathway to citizenship for you. Unfortunately, this has been in the talks or works for close to 20 years, and nothing has been able to pass. What did pass, though, in 2012 is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, an executive action signed by President Barack Obama, which stated if you were a young, undocumented person in this country, could prove you had no criminal background, you would qualify for a 2-year permit to be protected from deportation, get a work permit, and be able to travel outside of the country and come back. When the new administration came in, though, the program was rescinded in 2017. It came back, but it didn't come back with its totality in 2018. Applicants could no longer leave the country and come back. I benefited from DACA from 2013 to 2015 until I adjusted my status. But this isn't the story for everyone. I read an article not too long ago in the New York Times about a student who's a beneficiary of DACA. He figured out a way to get himself to college, even grad school, but has decided to self-deport in 2020. This is unfortunate for our country because we are losing talent that could be fostered here. But we have not put enough effort to try to fix this broken immigration system and accept people like this beneficiary into the American society, and that needs to change. In California alone, 27.3% of the population are immigrants. 2 out of 5 business owners are immigrants. And if you guys didn't know, immigrants and their children have founded almost half of US Fortune 500 companies. And if you're wearing jeans today, you're most likely wearing Levi's. And that was founded by a German immigrant who based himself here in San Francisco. If we don't start to create change now, we will not be able to see companies like this flourish in our country. But as you can see, I have hope. I'm deciding and I'm choosing to bring life into this world. Because I know if we come together, our country could be brighter and better. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to have a dinner with a conservative VC here in the Silicon Valley. I shared my story with him, my visions, my aspirations. By the end of our dinner, he said we should be building bridges, not walls. And we can all get to this point if we put our differences aside and have empathy for one another and hear each other's stories. If you're a conservative, I invite you to have dinner with an undocumented immigrant or immigrant and hear their stories, hear their contributions. If you're an ally, I ask that you continue to share the stories of immigrants and undocumented immigrants in your life and how their contributions have helped this country move forward. If you're an undocumented immigrant or a dreamer, I ask you to continue to find spaces that bring you joy and help you heal. I'd like to thank the people that have been by my side, my mentors, my family, my friends. Because even though society can be very rough on undocumented communities, and it was for me for a very long time, y'all stood by my side and believed in me even in times where I didn't believe in myself. And because of you guys, I'm here today. And I thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be here. And all the staff and faculty involved, y'all are in for an amazing day with amazing people who are changing the world. And I know we're going to live a much better life because of the people that are going to stand here today.
This video was made 5 years ago, but I believe that it still holds weight in this current world, so I hope it was informative. Next, we'll be talking about implementations and implications for college immigrants, specifically on mental health and academic support. So, counseling services could incorporate culturally specific approaches that acknowledge cultural gaps and stress. Universities can implement awareness campaigns for immigrant communities that stigmatize mental health issues and embed mental health professionals within academic advising or health centers to increase accessibility. As you may know, we have an advisor in our building, so it's great to see colleges take that initiative. In regards to academic support, immigrant students may benefit from peer mentorship programs where they can share experiences related to stress in college. Professors and advisors can be trained to recognize signs of a low mental health to refer them to other mental care, and colleges can partner with local cultural groups to provide social and emotional support networks. Next, we'll be playing a game based on the two studies and what we've learned so far.
So me and my partner also made a study game to help like add a little bit of fun with this interactive type of environment. So it is called Book It, and here are the questions before I show you how it works. So we have, what is the primary focus of the study, making the case for real diversity, redefining underrepresented minority students in public universities. So that was my study. The questions we have are the financial challenges faced by immigrant college students, the impact of immigration for degrees on the US population, the academic performance of first-generation college students, and the correct answer is the issues with using outdated terminology to describe student diversity. So if you've been paying attention, that one should be pretty easy. And then according to the study making the case for real diversity, what percentage of US population growth is projected to come from immigration within 2015 to 2065? That would be 88%. We have which racial or ethnic group saw an increase from 4% in 1965 to 18% in 2015. So we have Asian, Black, Native American, and the correct answer is Hispanic. So what do the authors of my study, Making the Case for Real Diversity, suggest is necessary for a better understanding of diversity among college students? So the correct answer is collecting disaggregated data on subethnic groups. But the other answer choices are eliminating all categories of diversity, which doesn't seem to make much sense, focusing on only on racial categories, using more general terms for all students, and then obviously you see the correct answer. And then we have 20 questions. So from Lamb's study, we have 10, and from my study, we have 10. So what is the term first generation college students referred to in the study, making the case for real diversity? So we have students whose parents have college degrees, the correct answer, which is students who are the first in their families to attend college, students who are enrolled in STEM programs, and students who are immigrants. What challenges do first generation college students typically face, according to the authors of Making the Case for Real Diversity? Once again, my study. We have higher graduation rates, more academic preparedness, increased access to financial aid, and then the correct answer would be complex familial, social, cultural, and economic pressure. So what aspect of identity does the concept of intersectionality focus on? So we have the financial status of students, the academic achievements of minority groups, the historical context of immigration in the US, and then the correct answer is the overlap of different identity factors such as race, ethnicity, and immigration status. So what institution is highlighted as a case study for diversity in my study? So we have the University of California, Harvard, Texas A&M, and the correct answer is the State University of New York. So you would have to read the study to know the answer to this question. And then what is one of the main recommendations the author of Making the Case for Real Diversity makes regarding data collection in higher education? So to focus on racial categories, to eliminate all categories of diversity, to standardize all data collection methods, and to collect detailed data on parental education and immigration status, which is the correct answer. And then last on my group of questions is, what is a significant barrier faced by immigrant college students? So we have higher levels of academic preparedness, decreased likelihood of completing a degree, lack of representation in faculty roles, and then the correct answer, limited access to financial aid and support services. So going on to the questions about Lamb study, we have what was the primary objective of the second study? So the wrong answers would be to assess the academic performance of immigrant college students, to evaluate the financial challenges faced by immigrant college students, to determine the impact of peer support on immigrant students' mental health. And then the correct answer would be to examine the interaction of familial acculturative stress and hopelessness on suicidal ideation among immigrants and non-immigrants. And then what is this type of stress? So we have stress caused by financial difficulties, stress due to academic workload, stress linked to discrimination at the workplace. And then we have the correct answer, which is stress resulting from adapting to a new cultural environment. Another question on hers would be, what was a key finding regarding familial acculturative stress in immigrants? So it had no effect on suicidal ideation. It was lower among immigrant students compared to non-immigrants. It decreased over time with social support, and the correct answer, which was it was significantly higher amongst immigrant students. So according to the second study, hopelessness is a strong predictor of what? We have academic stress, social integration, financial stability, and the correct answer, which is suicidal ideation. And then what percentage of these study participants were immigrants? We have 10%, 50%, 75%, and then the correct answer, which is 28%. So how did the research measure familial stress? Through academic performance reviews, by analyzing students' financial records, conducting classroom observations, and then the correct answer, which is using the social, attitudinal, familial, and environmental stress scale. What was the key interaction effect observed in this study? So, familial stress had no effect on suicidal ideation. Immigrant students were less affected by hopelessness than non-immigrants. Ethnic identity had no role in mental health outcomes. And then the correct answer, hopelessness and familial acculturative stress altogether influence suicidal ideation differently among immigrants and non-immigrants. One suggested intervention for supporting immigrant college students, we have reducing their academic workload, increasing tuition fees to provide better services, encouraging them to drop out of school if stressed, providing integrated mental health care models on campus. And that is the correct answer right here. So what was a major limitation of the study? It relied solely on self-reported measures, which is the correct answer, but the other answer choices would be it only included male participants, it only focused on financial challenges, it excluded students from immigrant backgrounds. And then what role does ethnic identity play in mental health outcomes according to the second study? So this is our last question. We have it has no significant impact on depression or suicidal ideation. It only affects academic performance, not mental health. It increases the risk of depressive symptoms. And then lastly, the correct answer is it can serve as a protective factor against hopelessness and acculturative stress. So once you host the game, this is it gives kind of a Kahoot vibe. So it has all of these different games that you can play. My favorite so far has been Cafe. Yeah, we'll try to do that. But what you do is you host, and then you can join and play the game. And it's very interactive, very fun, but it helps you answer the questions at the same time so that you're getting a thorough learning experience.
In conclusion, marginalized groups such as college immigrants need to have better support in order to have success in their college career. These are our references for our two studies, and this is the reference for the TED Talk video. I hope you guys learned something new today, and if you have any questions, please let me or Celine know. Thank you.